I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fisherman podcast, an extension of an online community for partners to connect and feel less alone. Our podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, and supporters of the industry to learn, laugh, vent, and hear stories about this incredibly unique way of life. What do you say? Let's dive in. There's one subject that we're constantly talking about, whether on the podcast or in our Partners of Commercial Fisherman community, and that is safety. And here's a hard truth. Did you know 8 out of 10 fishermen lost at sea weren't wearing a PFD? It's time to change that. At Kent Safety Products, they make life-saving gear designed for real fishermen. No bulk, no hassle. Just protection that works when you need it most. They also have the most Coast Guard approved PFDs on the market. So whether you're fishing in hot or cold environments, a fisherman can find one to fit their needs. And partners, let's just pause for a moment and think about how much it would ease stress to know that your fisherman is protected each time they go to sea. It's a lovely thought, right? And as a side note, we only partner with companies that have heart, those who truly want the best for our fishing communities and have high quality products. That's why I am proud to have Kent Safety Products as a sponsor. Visit KentSafetyProducts.com and find the right PFD for you and your fishermen. That's KentSafetyProducts.com. Hey partners, fishermen, supporters of, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of the Partners of Commercial Fisherman podcast, where we talk about all of the intricacies, the nuances, the incredible adventurous life that is being with a commercial fisherman and being in the commercial fishing industry. And if you're new here, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Megan Waldrop. We're here every week talking about all the real shiz. It's not anything for the faint of heart. And it's definitely, and there was a word that I wanted to change within this phrase. So I recently read, it's not the strong that survive, it's the most adaptable that survive. And I feel that that really hits home with our community. So not only the strong survive, only the most adaptable, only the adaptable survive. This is for us. And I'm stoked that we're here talking about it. And within that, we're talking about what it's like to be a partner of a commercial fisherman all around the world, because our community is international. We are in the U.S., Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, you name it. Indonesia, shout out. And it's so interesting how different our day-to-day lives can be, but yet our experiences are so similar. And that is what this 3-part series has been all about. I've been highlighting interviews from the blog that showcases voices of different partners of commercial fishermen in our community. And our community is worldwide. I'm talking not only in the US, Hawaii, and Alaska included. I'm talking Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, even Indonesia. We are out there. We are active in our community. And it's incredible to learn how, although our day-to-day lives might be different, although our hemispheres may be completely different, our experiences are so similar. And what better way to end this series than by introducing you to another incredible woman in our community. Today, we're traveling all the way to Port Broughton, hope I said that right, South Australia, to meet the lovely Angela Barnes. Angela, at the time of this interview, was a 36-year-old POCF who's been with her fisherman, Jared, for 16 years and married for 9. Together, they run a commercial fishing business harvesting blue swimmer crabs and pink snapper. And Angela helps run the show by doing admin, bookkeeping, and social media. And I know there's so many POCFs out there that are going, I hear you, girl. I'm doing the same thing. But before we get into her story, I want to share something that Angela said that really stuck with me, and it might resonate with many of you too. Angela said, I was surprised at how competitive the industry is. Also, the huge amount of work that is involved in the whole process of running a commercial fishing business. Sound familiar? Yeah, I know. And I don't know about you, but I was so surprised to hear during lobster season. Well, first of all, you can feel the more tension in the air as soon as the season starts. You're like, oh my gosh, are we going to get the catch? What's the season going to be like? How, all the questions come to mind. What's the weather going to be like? Is the boat going to operate okay? If your fisherman's a deckhand, is the captain going to be not an asshole? If you're a captain, you're like, man, I hope my deckhand isn't an asshole. It just circles like that. It's a cycle. But the pressure to make money is real, and sometimes it boils over. And I remember my partner, Chris, telling me about, another fisherman yelling at him because he was fishing too close to him at one point. First, I'm going to give a shout out. I know Chris is a very respectful fisherman. And also, let's be honest, nobody owns the ocean here, bro. And I've also heard stories of fishermen fist fighting on the docks. Like fist fighting. Like what the hell? So when Angela brought this up, I felt, yeah, I totally understood, because it's not just here, it's everywhere. Now let's dive into Angela's experience, the differences and the similarities to what many of us face in the U.S. Angela's husband, Jared, fishes using traps, or what they call crab pots. And they also have a hand line for pink snapper using what they refer to as a hook boat. It's a little different than what we use over here, or say anyway, and especially for those tied to long-lining gill netting and lobster traps, as we like to say in California. But one thing remains the same: long hours, early mornings, and deep exhaustion our partners carry when they return home. Now, I know that they say pots on the East Coast. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. And they say traps on the West Coast. So I think the vernacular changes you're in the region. It's not even a country thing. And I've never heard of a hook boat until Angela. But if I'm wrong, y'all tell me. I'd love to know, because let me tell you, I say this all the time. I'm still learning about fishing every day. I've been with my partner for almost 10 years. Oh, by the time this podcast comes out, we will have met 10 years ago. I'm still freaking learning what's all going on. It's so nuanced. But I love that we can share the nuances of this experience, which means whether your partner's gone for months at a time, weeks at a time, or just a day. Because Angela shared that Jared often starts his day at 4 a.m. during the season and sometimes stays on the water for several days at a time, which that feels long distance. It feels long distance even if they are home every night, because their mind is in the game. Their mind is looking towards the next day of fishing, prepping the boat, putting the boat away, selling to the buyer, all the things. And so, like many of us, Angela had to learn how to work her life around fishing. In her words, fishing and boats always come first. So let's just pause on that for a second, because I know many of us have had to cancel plans, reschedule holidays, or ride solo through important moments because our fishermen had to chase the season or fix the boat or anything like that, or the weather windows change. And it's not easy. And for Angela, one of the toughest parts of this lifestyle is when Jared is away, especially with kids in the mix. But despite the challenge, she's grateful. She says that Jared makes a huge effort to be present for their daughters when he can. And that kind of intentionality makes all the difference. But of course, there are perks to this lifestyle too. And Angela says for her, it's being out on the water. That is her happy place. Because I love this. She said there's no housework or no laundry, just peace and joy of being with her family at sea. Whether it's joining Jared for a trip on the crab boat or taking their girls out on the hook boat, it's a lifestyle that lets them connect with nature and each other in a really beautiful way. What also stood out to me was how much pride Angela has in Australian commercial fishing. And I know POCFs worldwide feel the same way. She said that Australia has some of the cleanest, pristine waters, producing some of the world's finest seafood. Australia has very strict fishery management in place, resulting in sustainable fishing practices. Hello, POCFs, this is our message to the world. When people are talking about overfishing and commercial fishing is polluting our oceans, you can say, yo, we live in insert country here. We have very strict fishery management practices, and that is why our fisheries are sustainable. That's why you can have wild-caught, quality, high, top, premium seafood, because so many people are working to make sure that everything is regulated. And believe me, if anybody knows the regulations, it's fishermen and partners of. And that's something we see all over the U.S., efforts towards sustainability and accountability. And it's a good reminder to know that we're not alone in trying to protect the oceans. And this way of life is protected for future generations because we are following the rules, y'all. And one final note, let's talk about trade wars. This is something that came up that I never thought I would be attuned to, but the world economy as a whole, learning about seafood sales, it was really interesting to learn that, well, the majority of spiny lobsters in California are shipped to Asia. They are the biggest seafood consumers in the entire world. And so it's interesting to make sure that we're checking, how's the Asian market doing? Or is everybody going to be able to afford wild-caught seafood? I know during the pandemic, that was a huge issue where seafood prices plummeted because there wasn't any there wasn't any seafood going out. But then seafood prices skyrocketed about, I think it was 2021 in December per pound. The lobsters were, probably 3 times the amount that they were. They are usually. It was insane just to be so tuned in to that. So about the trade wars, whenever I did this interview with Angela, it was during the trade war with the U.S. and Australia. So I asked her, I said, what is this? How is this affecting you? There's also the and also the trade wars bounce around all over the time. And that word trade wars is so insane. But anyway, they come and go. So I was wondering about Angela and Jared and how that affected their operation. And she said it didn't because they only sell within Australia. So they're insulated from that kind of volatility, which is really interesting to learn. And it's a good example on how market dynamics can vary drastically from one country to another, even when the work itself is quite similar. And so how is Angela's experience different from other POCFs? Well, for starters, the language. I mean, I've never heard of hook boats, but maybe y'all have. But beyond that, really, that is so minor, right? But beyond that, it's the emotional, the challenges, the deep love for our partners at sea. That's universal, no matter where you are. So whether it's Australia or the US or anywhere in between, being a POCF means being adaptable, because only the adaptable survive, strong, because that's how we are emotionally, and supportive and resourceful. But I want to say strong. Okay, what does that mean, being emotionally strong? I feel that emotionally strong means being vulnerable with your emotions, being able to share your emotions with other people. That's going to give you strength because they're going to be able to listen, hold space for you, and also get it out. Like write it in a journal, but also talk to somebody about how you feel. Vulnerability equals strength. It is not a weakness. Vulnerability is the number one source of strength. That is how we connect with others. And that's how we get through and grow. I mean, that's how we become the women and the people that we want to be. It means rolling with the tide, literally and emotionally, and finding joy in the small moments and building a life around something unpredictable, but deeply meaningful. If you're able to find joy in those moments of unpredictability, of things that you can't control, and you're just cruising along this journey and enjoying it in the process, like I mentioned in the last episode, every time I step up to my computer, I light a candle, I take some deep breaths, and I begin to work. Or I'll stop working, I'll go outside, I'll get my hands in the dirt and my flower boxes, I'll take a quick walk, maybe not even around the block, maybe just down the street and up the street. Anything that I can do to just get me centered again. Not only centered, just take a freaking break. I think taking a break, what does that mean? It's like taking a break. That word, I feel like we don't use it as often in that sense of what that means for your nervous system. Like taking a break. I mean, it's so vast what that could mean, but really it's taking a break from whatever your mind was going and whatever your mind was on for the moment. Being like, oh yeah, there's other things going on in this world. Look at that beautiful bird outside. Right now I have a bird feeder stuck right on my window. My sister gave it to me. I freaking love this. 2 birds have come and eaten seeds out of this bird feeder since we've been talking, and I love it. And I feel like these are the types of little joy moments that help you feel more like this is fun. Like this is an adventure. Every day is different. And that is freaking awesome. What a blessing. So many people wish they could have that kind of life. And we get to live that every day. And of course, nothing is perfect. The yin and yang, there's going to be challenge and there's going to be joy. But man, it's just so good when you're able to have a weekday to yourself and to your family and with your fishermen, like on a Wednesday, and other people are working. But you get to have this time that not many people get to experience. And I love that we get to share that with each other. And Angela's story is such a beautiful reminder of that, that we're not alone in this, that our struggles and celebrations connect us across oceans and borders and hemispheres. And that is something worth celebrating. So thank you so much for tuning in today and getting to know Angela with me. And if her story resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How was your experience, similar or different? You can DM me at megan.waldrip on Instagram or email me at support@pocfpride.com, or even better, you can join our awesome private group chat. I'll leave a link in the show notes. This is where you connect with your POCFs worldwide. We're international, y'all. We are all up in there, and it's so cool to learn about the different ways that our partners fish, or even we fish, because we have female fishermen in the chat because they are also POCFs. And that is not rare in our community. We have so many that are going on the boat with their partners, just like Angela that you learned. And if you want to talk more real life, that is what I'm talking about. You get into this chat. This is the safe space. This is our space that we need. This is how we find strength, because we can share our vulnerabilities and connect with others and then keep moving on our merry, beautiful way. So thank you so much again for being here. Find that strength and vulnerability. We are here for you. You are never alone. With love and POCF pride. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening. To support our community, I'd so appreciate it if you'd tap the subscribe button to this podcast or write a review. And if you're a POCF who wants to connect further, go to POCFpride.com for weekly vlogs and to learn about opportunities to join our private communities. We'd love to have you.